Hey, what is up, guys? So today we're going to be going over the action skills and skill trees for Zane and Amara that got leaked because of the Echo co-host Twitch extension that they gave the trailer for today. So first skill we're going to have is Barrier, droppable deployable barrier that blocks incoming projectiles. Zane and his allies shoot through the barrier, dealing increased gun damage. So it sounds like a rallying point, and then if you press the action skill button while it's active, you can pick it up and hold it, kind of like a riot shield, but the bonuses are decreased while you're moving around. So it'll be a nice, just cover real quick, a rally point for your allies to, team up, shoot a boss, or a riot shield, hopefully pick up, go revive a friend, stuff like that. So kind of, I can see this being more of a support-based tree. His first passive ability, Zane gains increased action skill cooldown rate. The bonus is based on the amount of shield he has. The more percent full, the greater the bonus. So keep your shields up, have your action skill up more. Another passive, Zane gains increased maximum shield capacity. Another thing we haven't seen. Zane gains increased shield recharge rate and recharge delay. Cool. So onto the augment charged relay. Whenever Zane or an ally touches the barrier, they gain increased movement speed and fire rate for a few seconds. Interesting thing about this in augments is if you'll notice these arrow shapes versus these hexagons, and then you'll come down here and you'll look. You have two hexagon spots for your action skill slot. You have a grenade slot, but I don't know why it's considered action skill. Maybe something weird. Again, we don't know. But then you have these mods slots for your augments. So you'll see that there's 4 here currently, and he is level 5. So whether or not we start with this many, because it seems like Amara has a different amount, and when she's a higher level. So seeing how these things work will be sure to find out. So back to the charged relay. Really, this seems like a lackluster augment, unless it's just like, you turn into Sonic and you shoot insanely fast because of it. But we don't know. Otherwise, I don't think that's going to be worth much at all, unless you're speedrunning. Brain Freeze is in his next passive. Whenever Zane scores a critical hit on an enemy, there's a chance that it will be slowed. Again, kind of lackluster, but interesting. Kind of like a Daze from Borderlands 1. Another passive, whenever Zane is damaged, he gains damage resistance against that damage type. So again, I see it fitting more into the support tank type role. Zane gains health regeneration. The lower his shield is, the higher the bonus. While Zane's shields are full, he does not receive any health regen. So depending on how good this is, I could see having. If you could find a shield that just has 0 shield capacity, or super low health but high recharge rate, stuff like that, I could see it really working well with this ability. The passive, next augment, nanites or some shit. Zane and his allies gain health regeneration, increased reload speed, and greatly improved shield recharge delay. While near his barrier, the lower their health, the more health is regenerated. Again, support role. Confident Competence. While Zane's shields are active, he gains increased gun damage and accuracy. This bonus is based on the amount of shields he has. The more percent full, the greater the bonus. So it looks like this is definitely trying to work in with the increased shield capacity, the recharge rate, walking through this, or being by this, having the recharge delay. Really seems like keeping them up, getting bonuses. This next augment, Zane's barrier becomes a dome covering all sides. This seems like, if it's better than the turrets for Axton in Borderlands 2, this will actually seem like it'll be very worthwhile having, especially that way if you can pick it up, uh, it'll be pretty cool. You'll be protected from all sides, I imagine. Um, I'm looking forward to that. Redistribution, the next augment. Zane and his allies near the barrier gain increased gun damage for a few seconds after the barrier takes damage. Again, another rallying point, support, buffing allies. Cool, all about it. Passive ability, really expensive jacket. Elemental damage over time effects applied to Zane have reduced duration. Whether or not this is like, oh, you take 2 ticks of it, or it's only reduced by a second, who knows, we'll see. Best served cold, kill skill. Finally, kill skill. Whenever Zane kills an enemy, they create a cryonova, dealing damage to all nearby enemies. This skill has a short cooldown. This, again, seems really nice, depending on how short that cooldown. If it's a 5-second cooldown, that'll be nice, but if it's, it doesn't seem like it'll be a 10. I think in this past, short cooldown usually meant around 5 seconds. But again, we'll find out. Futility belt. Zane gains resistance to non-elemental damage. Kill skill, all elemental damage Zane takes is converted to non-elemental damage. This seems nice considering we're going against Maliwan soldiers, so I imagine they're going to have a bunch of elemental damage coming at us. So really just being able to tank all that and not taking status effects, and if you do, reducing those durations seems really nice. Deterrence field, enemies that touch the barrier take shock damage and are staggered. Nice. If psychos are back as a really big thing, and it's less, less gun enemies, then this will be actually really quite nice. Refreshment, whenever Zane damages a frozen enemy with his weapon, he gains some of that damage back as health. So this, mixed with the Cryonova, seemed to be the synergizing too. Whenever Zane freezes an enemy, his shields become his shield instantly begins recharging. If Zane's shields are already full, he regenerates health. If his health is already full, his action skill cooldowns and durations are immediately reset. That seems kind of crazy. Yeah, that's definitely a little crazy. Considering that if that immediately reset has a cooldown, but if it doesn't, cool, you stay protected all the time, so you'll regen health and regen your shield. So, okay. Nice job, Gearbox. Nerves of Steel. Zane gains increased accuracy and handling. The longer his shield is full, the greater the bonus. So I imagine this will act like a stacking ability, where if your shield is full, your accuracy is going to turn your gun into a laser, whether or not you have a laser. Another augment, Zane's barrier gains the effect of his currently equipped shield mod. Additionally, shield effects are applied to all allies near the barrier. Bonuses to Zane are reduced. So, depending on what types of shield if we have coming back, if it's Nova shields, or reflection chances, absorption chances, anything like that, that'll be very interesting. Now, another thing I want to point out is that this augment seems to be given to us at the last, but if you'll see, there isn't an augment slot that matches its shape. So whether or not we unlock this once we reach a certain level to where we would have this fully kitted out, I don't know. So, on to the next one. Hitman, this will deal with his Sentinel drone that flies through the environment, attacks enemies with his machine guns. So, very much like Wolf and Saint, except no Saint, just Wolf, especially because you can mark enemies if you just press the action skill button again. So, kill skill, after killing enemy, gain increased movement speed. Zane gains increased weapon swap speed. The next shot fired after swapping weapons deals bonus cryo damage. Whether or not this cryo damage will be able to freeze the enemy will be cool to see, just because of these cryo and the freezing nova and such passives over on this tree. Next passive, Zane's gun damage is increased while moving. The quicker he moves, the greater the gun damage bonus. It'll be interesting to see how much, based off of this first ability, and it just seems like these two will definitely work together, but whether or not it's a significant amount, like if you're moving you gain 50% gun damage, that'd be nice, or if it'll cap out at 75, uh, again, it'll be real nice to see. Augment converts sentinel primary weapons into cryo damage. If this can freeze enemies, again, previous skill tree, great combo. So Zane gains increased reload speed. After killing an enemy, Zane's reload speed is increased for a few seconds, so this might just mean that your reload speed becomes non-existent. Drone delivery. Sentry will occasionally drop a free grenade based on your current grenade mod while attacking enemies. This is nice. I mean, I'm always down to have an extra transfusion or an extra bonus package, an extra, Quasar, homing, Stormfront, stuff like that. I'm definitely okay with that for free. Kill skill. After killing an enemy, Zane's weapons gain lifesteal for a few seconds, so very much like the ability for Maya in Borderlands 2. Bad dose. Sentinel occasionally shoots out a beam of radiation that weakens enemies and buffs Zane. For every weakened enemy, Zane's movement speed and fire rate are increased. Weakened enemies have decreased movement speed and attack speed. Again, working in with that increased movement speed, bonus damage. Radiation is pretty much the equivalent of slag from Borderlands 2, but in this game it'll weaken enemies, make them more prone to damage, but then it'll also apply a dot, so much better than slag already. Seeing red. Activating action skill automatically activates all of Zane's kill skills, so this would be nice. Just in general, I always enjoy having kill skills active. I mean, they're not hard to get active, but it's just a nice little passive. Next augment, static field. Sentinel emits a static field that sends a shock beam to nearby enemies, draining their shields and replenishing Zane's. Cool. Thank you. That's nice. I mean, keeps you alive. Boomsday. Sentinel adds a rocket pod to its primary weapons, allowing it to shoot rockets as well as machine guns. Depending on if this will be like a wolf, where it was just one rocket every so often, or if it turns into like Accent Sentry, where it's just rockets all the time, will be interesting to see. Violence. Kill skill. After killing an enemy, Zane gains increased fire rate for a few seconds. So, fire rate, reload speed, seems like it's definitely his forte in this tree. Playing dirty. After killing an enemy, Zane's next 5 shots all have a chance to fire an additional projectile. So what I'm hearing is the Jacobs manufacturer is going to be his for this. Definitely sounds like that'll be nice, because if you don't know, the Jacobs manufacturer, if you get a crit, that projectile will then go to a another enemy. So if you're shooting that and those projectiles both crit, and those go to more people, so essentially you're going to have bullets flying around all the time. Almighty Ordnance. Hold down the action skill or the grenade button while Sentinel is deployed to paint a target area. Sentinel fires a missile barrage at that area, and if an enemy is killed, Almighty Ordnance's duration is reset. This can only be used once per action skill use. So, that's interesting. That's very interesting, considering if we go back over here and look at that, His action skill cooldowns and durations are immediately reset. If you can have multiple of these abilities at one time, as seen here, action skill slot here, and then he has his action skill over here. That'll be interesting to see if, you know, just doing missile barrages all the time. Next kill skill, killing an enemy increases Zane's action skill duration. Just like every pretty much deployable, Wolf and Saint had it, Death Trap had it. Any really deployable mech has had it so far. Next passive ability, all of Zane's kill skills gain increased effect and duration. So this is definitely about killing everything you see somehow, having your sentinel killing everything you see somehow, and then reaping the benefits. Onto his doubled agent, this is going to be his clone. Spawn a digiclone of Zane. This clone stays in place but distracts and fires at enemies. Pressing the action skill or the grenade button while the clone is active will cause Zane and the clone to swap places. Kind of like the switch teleport for Loki on Warframe. I think so. But definitely interesting. So another thing, if we look here, he's level 5, and he currently has 1 point into his Sentinel, 1 point into his Digiclone, and then 1 point into his Borrowed Time, which means that we will be unlocking our action skills at level 3, as opposed to level 5, like in Borderlands 2. It will be more like Borderlands pre-sequel, where you hit 3, get your and start earning points. So his first passive, whenever one or more of Zane's action skills are active, he gains increased gun damage for each active action skill. So this definitely confirms that you will be able to have multiple action skills active at one time. That is a very that makes my heart happy, very happy. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna love Borderlands 3. Okay, so his next passive. Zane and his Digiclone gain increased magazine size. Cool. Zane gains increased action skill duration for every active action skill. So, dope. This almost seems like it'll be worth to go into the third as your third action skill if we're going to be able to have enough skill points to, kit this one out, and then kit this one out somewhat. Like in previous games. That'll be real nice. So this looks like it'll be probably the end game, like your final going through, which will be cool. So onto the next one. Sorry. Whenever Zane swaps places with its clone, a Cryonova is triggered around Zane and his clone. So kind of like an anti, melee. Like, oh shit, the Psycho's on me. Get away, freeze them. Hopefully with the Cryonova. Nice use of his switching. Whether or not you can switch more than once will be cool, because then, say, if you just get right up next to a badass, throw out your clone right next to you, and then just, continually swap between the two, and just fire off Novas, that'd be pretty fun. Onto his next passive. Kill skill. Whenever Zane kills an enemy, he and his Digiclone receive increased gun damage and health regeneration for a few seconds. Dope. I'm always down for, being able to regen health whenever I want, because I'm going to kill enemies whenever I want. But then the increased gun damage again is nice. It seems like he's really going to be focusing on, okay, let my fucking barrier, be down, increase my gun damage, increase my fire rate, increase everything, and then increase everything even more. So I think he's definitely going to be one of the gun-oriented characters. Now onto his fractal frags. The Digiclone throws a copy of Zane's current grenade mod. When it is first activated, if the Digiclone is killed, it drops a free grenade. Killing an enemy while the Digiclone is active gives the clone a chance to throw a grenade. So, more free grenades. Um, Duct tape mod, the first shot fired from Zane's gun has a chance to also fire a grenade. The more grenades in his capacity, the higher the chance. So, again, if you have something like the bonus package or the Stormfront or the Quasar or the Black Hole, just a legendary grenade mod that is just great at causing chaos. Have your clone throw one, you shoot one, this guy drop one. Yeah, it just seems like it's gonna be a lot of grenades everywhere, which I'm happy with. Whenever clone takes damage, Zane's shield is restored by a portion of that damage. This will, again, be nice with this first skill tree where, you get the bonuses for your shield being full or, and stuff like that. So, on to the next one. Next to augment. Um, Again, if you look, this is another one of the differently shaped ones. I didn't take notice which one. Okay, yeah, so it would be these bottom two. No, does he have one on here? Yeah, so right here. Okay, so it doesn't match the shape, so maybe they accidentally have an augment there and instead mean to be passive. I don't know. So whenever Zane swaps places with his clone, his shield immediately begins recharging. So that, mixed with that, you're like, oh shit, my health, my shields are down. Switch. Your clone will start taking the damage, refilling your health, and then you also refill your shield by switching, which will be again nice. Which one's real is next augment enemies are more likely to target the clone for a few seconds after it's summoned and after swapping places. So again, just further helping with this. Doppelbanger, hold down the grenade button or the action skill button to end the skill early. When it ends, the clone explodes, dealing fire damage to all nearby enemies. The more action time remaining, the greater the damage. Cool. I mean, I'll take it taking fire and throwing grenades over just a fire nova, you know? Um, Pocket full of grenades kill skill. After killing an enemy, Zane gains grenade regeneration for a few seconds. Again, really adding to the grenades. Old U. Press the action skill button or the grenade button during fight for your life if Digiclone is active to destroy the clone and immediately gain a second one with full health. So this definitely sounds nice if you're by yourself, and then you throw out your clone and you're like, oh hey, no enemies are here anymore, can't kill them. Just pop that and save you from the new U cost. Whenever one or more of Zane's action skills are active, he gains increased movement speed for each action skill active. Cool. This will definitely help with this violent momentum skill. Next to digital distribution, if Zane takes health damage while the clone is active, a portion of that damage is shared to his clone instead. Dope. So I die even less now, which seems like it's going to be really hard to die as Zane, just given how, shield recharge and health recharge and his clone taking damage for him. It really seems like he's going to be one of the harder characters to die as, especially if you have the support tree done. Next, passive. Like a ghost, Zane and his Digiclone gain a chance to ignore bullets. This chance is increased for a few seconds after activating an action skill. This effect stacks. So, you throw out all three action skills and boom, ignore all the bullets. Cool, even harder to die. Boom, enhance. Whenever Zane summons its Digiclone, it consumes up to 3 grenades. For every grenade consumed, the Digiclone gains increased gun damage, max health, fire rate, and reload speed. How much it increases will really determine if the 3 grenades is worth, but you get the grenade regeneration for killing enemies. So it seems like you shouldn't have a problem getting your grenades back if you have this unlocked by this time. Cool. Um, Next passive, Zane deals bonus shock damage to enemies that aren't targeting him. So, if they're targeting the clone, cool, you deal bonus shock damage. Sweet. Um, Next augment, the clone is equipped with a copy of Zane's current weapon when activated. Swapping places with the clone causes Zane and his clone to gain increased gun damage. So, it seems like it'll just have a basic pistol or a basic rifle up until this point, and at this point isn't where you can really start getting shit to go crazy, especially if, say, you have a Norfleet, or equivalent of a Norfleet from Borderlands 2, and, you just it just has a Norfleet and it's going crazy. That'll be really interesting to see. So on to Amara. So I guess we'll start with Fist of the Elements. Phase Grasp. Amara summons a giant fist that bursts from the ground and locks the target enemies in place for a few seconds. Some enemies are immune to being grasped but instantly take damage instead. So this is the phase lock. Phase lock that we all know that she has, like Maya's from Borderlands 2. Passive ability. Amara's elemental effects deal increased damage over time and have increased duration. Action skill elemental effect deals further increased damage. Okay, so Siren, already loving this because I love elemental effects. Cool. Passive ability. Amara gains increased weapon handling and accuracy. Cool. I'll definitely take this over that. Passive ability. Convert a portion of her damage dealt by Amara's weapons into her action skill element. It'll be interesting to see what this action skill element thing is if you, okay, so we'll get to that later on ahead, I think. Amara deals increased elemental damage, dope. Shock damage is further increased, dope. Amara gains increased melee damage, and her melee damage is converted to her action skill element. Cool. Whenever Amara applies an elemental effect to an enemy, it has a chance to spread to a nearby enemy. Oh, that's really nice. Okay, so I think this is where we get into the action skill elements. Converts Amara's action skill to fire damage. This does not take effect until after Amara uses her action skill. So it seems like, if you store it, so if you store it into her action skill element, it looks like if you deal elemental damage, it'll buff your next activation of your action skill. Which will be interesting if that's how it works. So, you do a shit ton of elemental damage, you see a badass fight, put that phase grasp and just see all the elements just fucking destroy it. That would be nice. Next augment. Amara summons a giant fist that bursts from the ground and locks the targeted enemy into place for a few seconds. Okay, so that's cool. Whenever the grasp enemy is killed, up to 3 new targets can be sought out and grasped. So kind of like the chain for Amara, or not Amara, but Maya in Borderlands 2, under the control tree where it can go between multiple enemies. Cool. So the second half is what you have to pay attention there. Next passive, Dread. Amara's gun damage is increased for a few seconds after enemy is grasped. Whenever any player kills a grasp enemy, their current weapon is instantly reloaded. Oh, that's nice. The gun damage, and I know in Borderlands 2 for Maya, the gun damage and fire rate could be increased whenever enemy was phase locked in her middle skill tree, so that's actually a nice differentiating skill for the instantly reloading. Amara's action skill creates singularities that pull in enemies. Cool. Saw in Borderlands 2. Indiscriminate. Passive. Amara's bullets that damage enemies have a chance to ricochet and deal decreased damage to other nearby enemies. Ricochet chance and damage are increased if the target is still affected by phase grasp or stillness of mind. So Ricochet, we saw it in Borderlands 2. It really wasn't anything to be proud of at all. It was one of those ones that you just didn't go into unless you really just wanted to. There wasn't much of a reason to. Next passive, Amara gains increased magazine size with elemental weapons, so really just focusing on use elemental weapons if you ground down the skill tree. Cool. Catharsis. Whenever Amara triggers an elemental effect on an enemy, when that enemy dies, that enemy explodes, dealing her attuned element damage along with any other element that is currently afflicted upon that enemy. This skill has a short cooldown. Nice. So, free elemental novas whenever you kill an enemy. I'm down. Amara summons a giant fist that bursts from the ground and locks the targeted enemy in place for a few seconds. Okay, so again, we don't care about the top, just the second half. Enemies near the grasped target are linked, and any damage dealt to a linked target is shared between all other linked targets. Huh. So, it'll be interesting to see if, like, at point of activation, or if they walk within the radius, they'll be linked, because that'll make this singularity and this ties that bind really just synergize quite well. Just for the fact that you will be pulling more enemies in to really share all that damage, clear out real mob of enemies real quick. Fist over matter. Amara summons a giant fist that bursts from the ground and locks the... Okay, again, first half we don't care about. Come on. After grasping the targeted enemy, large fists appear and constantly smash the area, dealing damage to nearby enemies. Okay, so this, and this all sound quite nice together. Amara gains lifesteal whenever she deals elemental damage with her weapon. Okay, that sounds fucking broken. Just a little. Just a little. If it's like the bullets, if like her weapon lifesteal, or if just any elemental damage is, or any damage at all is lifesteal. Seems really nice. Whenever Amara applies an elemental effect to an enemy, she gains a chance to randomly electrocute, burn, or melt that enemy. Huh. You know, that's real interesting. Huh. So it seems like this Conflux and Wildfire will really work together quite well. Okay, so for the final passive ability, Mara's guns deal bonus elemental damage based on her action skill element. So this will be fire damage. I imagine that there might be anything converting action skill elements over here. We'll see that. I guess we'll see that in a second. Sorry. Okay, this goes whole. Amara sends forward an astral projection of herself, dealing damage to everything in its path. So first passive, do harm. Killing an enemy grants Amara a stack of rush. Activating her action skill consumes all rush stacks. For every stack of rush consumed, Amara's action skill damage is temporarily increased. Passive fast hands. Amara's reload speed, weapon swap speed, and mode switch speed are improved. Mode switch. That's interesting. So maybe mode switching is switching between the three. I imagine so. If so, that means that there will be maybe like there will be a delay switching between the two. Nice. So on to the next one. Applying an elemental effect grants Amara a stack of rush. Activating her action skill consumes all rush stacks. For every stack of rush consumed, Amara's elemental effect chance is temporarily increased. Alacrity. Amara gains increased reload speed for every stack of rush. After consuming rush stacks, this bonus is increased for a few seconds. Cool. Amara gains increased accuracy and critical hit bonus for a few seconds after activating her action skill. Cool. Amara gains increased action skill cooldown rate. That'll be nice, considering that, you know, you're all about building up stacks, using your action skill, doing more damage, building it up. Cool. I'm down. A portion of all damage dealt by Amara's action skill is returned to her or nearby allies' health. That's always nice. Reverberation. Amara since... Okay, first half we don't care about. Astral projection deals increased damage for every enemy it hits. Dope. All action skill augments gain increased effects. Dope. Um, Enemies damaged by Amara's action skill become phase locked until they are damaged or the duration ends. However, action skill cooldown is increased if Amara targets an enemy with phase grasp. Enemies near the grasp target are phase locked. So if you pop this and they become uh, phase locked, and then you pop your phase grasp, everyone else near them will also be phase locked again. Okay, so that's really just adding in the like control aspect of the siren. Next augment, Amara. Okay, first I don't fucking care about. Whenever Amara's astral projection hits an enemy, it releases homing elemental projectiles that trigger her action skill elemental effect on enemies. Dope. Next passive, Amara gains improved fire rate and charge time. Dope. Enemies take increased damage from all sources for a few seconds after being damaged by Amara's action skill. Dope. Amara gains increased gun damage. This effect is increased after she activates her action skill for a few seconds. Cool. Nothing we haven't seen before. When Amara kills an enemy with a gun or an action skill, she creates a homing projectile that seeks out a new enemy, dealing her action skill elemental damage. Any overkill damage is added to the projectile's damage. Cool. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. It'll pretty much tell you, hey, enemy right here, kill it. Mars rush stacks gain increased effectiveness. That's, again, nice. I wish there was a bit more. I mean, I wish, like, further on down here they added more ways to build those stacks, though. Amara sends forth an actual projection of herself. When it hits a target, it explodes, damaging all nearby enemies. It'll be interesting to go from here to here if it will stop after it explodes, or if it will keep going past and just explode on every enemy. Again, real cool. Avatar, Amara's action skill can be activated while it's cooling down. This skill can only be used once per completed cooldown, so... Okay. So you can essentially throw out two at one time. You can go pop and then pop. Dope. I'm happy with that. I love abilities. Onto her next, her melee-esque treat. Amara leaps into the air and slams the ground, dealing damage to all nearby enemies and knocking them up. Dope. We had knock up. Most effective form of CC, am I right? Damn it. Amara gains increased max health and elemental damage resistance to her action skill element. Okay. Oh, so increase her max health, and then she resists whatever her action skill element is based on. Amara's action weapon shots deal bonus damage based on the distance to her target. The closer the target, the greater the bonus. So SMGs again are a Siren's favorite. Sweet. Clarity, Amara constantly generates health. Lower health, the more powerful the regeneration. After using an action skill, the bonus is doubled for a few seconds. Nice. Nice. Mara deals increased splash damage and takes reduced splash damage. Cool. Mara gains increased max health. Cool. For a few seconds after using her action skill, Amara's arms remain active and grant her damage reduction. I wonder if that's all they do, or if they'll, like, attack while you're walking, like, or anything. Hopefully, but it might just, ideally block stuff, and you just take less damage. Okay, cool. Converts Amara's action skill to corrosive damage. This does not take effect until after Amara uses her action skill. Okay, so it looks like we got corrosive, we had fire here if I'm correct, yes. And then I imagine maybe Okay, so we either have corrosive or fire. It looks like. Okay. Okay. I'm okay with that. I wish there was, the shock and maybe the radiation, but I'll take what I get. It's Borderlands 3. Amara summons a handful of fists that erupt from the ground, dealing damage to enemies in front of Amara. Okay. So this will be more so like, okay, everything nearby me, whereas this will be like, okay, everyone in front of me. If you're really just wanting it to be focused in front of you. Okay. Next passive. Whenever Amara takes damage, she gains a stack of mindfulness. For every stack of mindfulness, she gains improved shield regen delay and movement speed. Stacks decay after a few seconds. Wonder if that's within a few seconds of like after you stop taking damage, or if, you know, you'll be eventually just constantly either gaining slash decaying at the same time. Next passive, Amara gains increased melee damage. Cool. Additionally, for a few seconds after using her action skill, Amara gains increased melee range. Dope. Vigor. Killing an enemy with Amara's action skill grants all allies increased movement speed for a few seconds. This effect stacks. So, if your Zane's like, hey buddy, really got this cool gun damage increase with increased movement speed, wanna help a brother out? You're like, oh yeah, sure dude. Take this movement speed. And then give him more damage. Seems real nice. Be that good, nice support. Amara's action skill now creates a nova when it damages enemies, dealing damage to all nearby enemies. Okay, cool. Amara leaps into the air and shoots an elemental beam below her briefly, followed by a slam. No, that's a bit better. I like that. That's real. And now, if that'll match like your action skill augment element, then you go up, you fire that corrosive beam at someone, get their resistances down, and plop. Dope. Samsara. Whenever Amara deals damage to an enemy with her action skill, she adds a stack of Samsara. For every stack of Samsara, Amara gains increased gun damage and health regen for a few seconds. Stacks decay after a few seconds. So, more health regen. And gun damage. Whenever an enemy damages Amara, she automatically throws an energy orb back at them, dealing action skill elemental damage. This has a short cooldown, so kind of like Krieg's Hellborn tree, where if he was on fire, he got damaged, and then whoever damaged him gets got the fireball going at them. I assume that would be similar to that, except it'll have a cooldown, as opposed to Krieg's did not. Next passive. Whenever Amara deals melee damage to an enemy, she gains increased action skill damage and increased weapon damage for a few seconds. So, cool. Real nice. Passive ability. When Amara enters fight for life, she immediately gains a second wind, restores her health, creates an action skill elemental nova that knocks back nearby enemies. This skill has a long cooldown. I imagine that's probably gonna be like a minute. That's still cool. I mean, really just even reduces risk even more. Next augment. Enemies damaged by Amara's action skill become confused and temporarily attack their allies, however action skill cooldown is increased. If Amara targets an enemies with phase grasp, enemies near the grass target are confused as well. Melee override. Press the melee button to make Amara dash a short distance forward, perform a special melee strike, dealing elemental melee damage. If Blitz melee attacks kills an enemy, Blitz's cooldown is immediately reset. Okay, so it seems like you need this to really make a melee build viable. Which kind of makes me sad, but it seems like you'll be able to reach here relatively quick. if it follows the same 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, so you'll be able to reach the bottom by 5, 10, 15, 20, maybe, depending on if you need. So this will probably be 4. So by 5, 10, 15, 19, 24, 25 you should be able to hit here, which means this will be by 50-ish, maybe less. And then same for here. So 70 something. Hopefully, I would really like to see if we could maybe kit out, at least get the final passive in every skill tree. But we will see. So that'll be it for the skills. We can take a look at the gear here that she has. So this looks like it'll be a rare weapon for the rocket launchers, but if you see, there is a description, a red description, and it's in rocket launcher, 50% chance. Again, we're gonna have a gear score now. If you look in the left corner, there's now gear score. So this is gonna be a Torg weapon. It's nice that it shows the slash damage now. That's cool. Tame charcoal swaps between 4-shot burst and semi-auto. Again, that's the new thing for Doll, is being able to switch between bursts, semi-auto weapons. Here we actually have a radiation weapon in Doll. It's an SMG. 10% critical hit damage. That is nice. Irradiated enemies damage enemies around them. So it sounds like the dot may be not just on them, but enemies around them, which is actually pretty dope. I enjoy that. Huh. Ultra clear keen fire. So throw weapons, sticks to surfaces, and will suicide into enemies. So you throw it, and then I imagine it flies at enemies? Maybe? That sounds pretty dope. Here we have a legendary shield, but doesn't say anything. And then just a basic frag grenade. And then if we look at the Zane gear, again we have a Jacob, so critical hits ricochet 1 bullet at the nearest enemy. Cool. We have a Hyperion weapon. Again, Hyperion weapons allow you to have a gun-mounted shield, so you can tank a little bit more. And then damage to shield reflects bullets back at attackers. That's actually nice. Didn't know that. Transfusion pounding longbow. Bounces and detonates up to 3 times. 15% increased grenade damage, heals for 30% of damage dealt. So it sounds like it might be different than the previous transfusions where you throw it and they'll, the tracking Healy sparkle thingies go to the enemy, damage them, and come back to you. And so it might just detonate and that damage just instantly heals you, or maybe it'll bounce, detonate, bounce, detonate, bounce, detonate, and each one of those detonations releases the Healy sparkly thingies that we all love so much. That'll be very interesting to see. If we go into the backpack, we have the operator skin, so just the skin. Legendary operative class mod, we can't see what bonuses it gives. A head, artifact that we can't see. More just basic green weapons. And besides that, not much else. Now if we go back to Amara, we'll look and see what's in her backpack. So we have a Nova Shield, Let's see, we have the jackal, just a doll. Atlas. Here we go. Huh. Seems like that might not be Atlas, just because they're supposed to have the tracking rounds. Um, yeah, considering that this is a jackal right here, and this is a dauntless jackal, um, it seems like this will probably is meant to be a doll, not an Atlas. Unless... Okay, no, all of these are all jackals. Um, hmm, that's triggering. But, whatever. Yeah. So it looks like they're just all the same weapon, except, uh, um, yeah, except they just put them under different, uh, manufacturers. Okay. Well, that'll probably be it for this video. Again, so the Moses stuff is empty. The skill trees are empty, just have question marks. Same for Flak, which is saddening because I really want to see Flax. But yeah, so that's the way things go for it right now. The preview, the gameplay event is going to be on May 1st. Super excited for that. Um, I'll probably make a video breaking down what we see in that, what piqued my interest, stuff like that. So, again, I'll be uploading a bit more often, hopefully now. Um, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, not many of you are going to see this, I imagine, but if you're new, hit a like, maybe subscribe. Um, I'm definitely going to try to pump out more uh, recent, more relative, more consistent content now that I'm going to be done with school for the semester, and summer is going to be coming up. So again, drop a like, um, drop a subscribe, drop a comment, tell me what you want to see next, and yeah, so until then, talk to y'all later. Bye.